actually, I want to save you
Oh,
from yourself.
I know. I figured that.
Have you
I
ever
figured
allowed
that out.
someone to save you from yourself,
Yeah,
Max?
I've been to
Yeah?
therapy. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what
That's
therapy
good.
is about, right?
I guess. Um, yeah, so I got a question that I guess let's
Yeah.
get to. Um, so how is it that you are able to publicly empathize with school shooters, but unable to
Yeah.
empathize with Destiny expressing his train of thought in regards to his DDoSer situation?
There's a lot loaded in there that okay, so hold on. Destiny is a streamer that I'm having a lot of conflict with for the few of you who may not know this. And Destiny in when he was 22, he was getting or 23, he was getting DDoSed by a high school kid. And talking about this incident a couple years after, maybe a year after, Destiny said, "Oh, I this is what you just described as him. Would you say saying his thoughts,
Yeah, like his train of thought, right? Like
his train of thought?
the
Okay, this is
things
what
he was thinking.
here's what Destiny actually said. That's a guy. That's one of the people. Legitimately, like I was so you have no. It's actually kind of scary." How close I was to getting people together to go down to his house and kill him and his family. Or it would have been just him and his father, because I didn't know anything about. Dude, that was some of the most fucked up shit in my entire life. I was so fucking close to doing it. But I was making so much money on Twitch, and I don't know if my son, yeah, I don't know if my son was involved, meaning in the decision, but for whatever reason, I decided that the current life I had wasn't worth the risk of, oh my God, I was so close. I had his fucking address, I had streets mapped out, and you have no fucking idea. That's when I first started to get an interest in owning a weapon. I got a permit to own a gun and everything.
Damn,
Okay.
you got that quote up pretty fast. That's good, man.
Yeah, well,
You're prepared.
I got my Google Docs here, and my Destiny note is here. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Okay, so uh, that's not really just thoughts. That's like a plan.
No,
I would I
it's
wouldn't I
it's
would
a
I wouldn't
it's
characterize
something
that
he
as like a
considered.
fantasy about killing someone. That's he's describing a plan that he had to kill
No, he's
to
not. He's
murder
not.
a child.
No, because he
He's
took
not describing
steps.
it.
No, no. The part that you're considering a plan is the steps that he took to get the kids information, right?
The part that I'm considering a plan is the plan part.
Which
Okay,
is
so
which.
we're starting this conversation with what I just said to you. You believe that Destiny at no point had a plan to kill this kid.
No, I'm saying he contemplated killing this kid, right?
Yes or no? Destiny had a plan to kill this kid at some point.
No,
Destiny never had a plan to kill this kid.
no.
Okay, I just so because the strength, the cult's grip on your brain might not be clear to people. So I just want you to clarify to me this
Uh-huh.
sentence. God, I can't even. For whatever reason, I decided the current life I had wasn't worth the risk. I was so close. I had his fucking address. I had streets mapped out. You maintain that does not describe someone who at any point you because my take is that he had a plan and then he
I know.
called the
It's
plan.
really important to your article too that this fits, right? So,
Just for this conversation, I don't want to talk about the article.
okay, okay.
My view is that if you say I had streets mapped out, I got a permit to own a gun, I was so close to doing it, and then I decided it wasn't worth it. To me, that
Wait. Are you
describes
saying he got a permit to own a gun in light of this situation, as a result of this situation?
you have I had his fucking address, I had streets mapped out, and I had You have no fucking idea. That's when I first started to get an interest in owning a weapon. I got a permit to own a gun and everything.
Okay.
Are you saying that he coincidentally got a permit to own a gun?
Well, if he did get the permit to own the gun as a result of this, but I still don't think it's a plan.
I'm asking you questions, and if you don't start answering them, I'm going to have to kick you.
Okay, ask the question.
Do you think that Destiny got a permit to own a gun because of this situation, based on what I just said to you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I do too. Do you, are you saying that this quote does not describe someone who had a plan to kill someone and then called it off because they realized that it wasn't worth the risk to their own livelihood?
Yes, I'm saying that this was like all these factors combined.
This was not
all. These weren't all a byproduct of one cohesive plan.
Just yes or no. Did Destiny ever have a plan to kill this kid?
No.
Okay. So I think that's our big impasse here, is that I think he's describing that he did have a plan and then he abandoned the plan because he realized it wasn't worth it. And you are saying these are just thoughts and that he never had a plan.
Well, can I tell you why I think it's the all those factors are compartmentalized, right? So he acquired the kid's information, right? Like his address and all that stuff, because that's something you would do if you're counter hacking the kid, right? Who's ruining your livelihood, right? This is one of the things you would do if you have resources available. So
I was so close. I had his fucking address. I had streets mapped out. Any reason to map his streets out if you're counter hacking him?
To map his streets out.
We agree in this sentence he's saying I was so close to killing him, right?
Yes.
I was so we can fill in. I was so close to killing him. I had his fucking address. I had streets mapped out.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying he was mapping the streets out for a different reason that was not related to...
I think he was just getting information about the kid, right? He was just...
Okay.
He was backed into a corner, right? And what would you do in that situation, Max? Like you're going to try and do whatever you can, whatever resources you have available. You're going to try and get information on this guy who's ruining your life, right?
No.
No? So how would you
what would I do if someone were making it so I couldn't stream?
Yeah.
I would sue them.
But you can't, Max, because you can't make the kid liable for what he's doing. It's all VPN.
Wait, what do you mean you can't? Destiny said the reason he didn't sue him is because it would be too expensive. He said he estimated that it would cost about $20,000.
Yeah, $50,000. Yeah, something.
He said
like
20,000.
I think he said 50. But
okay.
Anyways.
Yeah, well, that's what I would do, is I would sue them. If I couldn't afford a lawyer, I would just take him to small claims court. You have a recording of him saying that he's purposely making it so you can't stream. So I would.
But he said he would have to didn't Destiny say he would have to get them to explain to the judge all about all this technical shit, right? And it would be hard for the judge to even buy it, right?
Yeah, it sounds like it would be a hard lawsuit to pull off, but that's what I would do. Mm-hmm. Or if I were smart like Destiny about IT shit, I would do what he actually ended up doing, which is figure out a way to prevent DDoSing. Then Destiny wrote an anti-DDoSing guide that was used for years by other streamers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so effective that in the guide he said, people in professional or competitive StarCraft matches, because of this guide, no longer have any excuse for getting DDoSed and dropping out of a match. It should count as a loss because I have so effectively designed a solution. So if somebody who has the technical know-how to actually figure out a way to prevent DDoSing doesn't really have an excuse for planning to murder a fucking child. Not that
No,
anybody has an excuse to plan to
gained
murder
the
a fucking child, but
technical know-how.
least of all,
He
Destiny.
gained the technical know-how over a long, drawn-out period of
Yeah, so
forming.
that's what I would do. I would
That was
I would
painful for him to do. It wasn't so
Oh God!
easy
Well, if he
get
has to go through something painful like learning how to fucking
Max,
stop somebody
come
from
on.
DDoSing him, he shouldn't have to go through that. He
It's a
should
form
murder
of
children instead.
psychological
You're
torture,
out of
man.
your fucking minds. You are all out of your fucking minds.
But you're not out of your minds. You empathize with school shooters, Max.
Do you know what empathy
You can
is?
understand. You can
Do you
understand
know what
where they're
empathy
coming
is?
from.
Do you know what empathy is? Oh, I empathize
it's-
with Steven. I empathize with Destiny. I understand. I understand that if you have no morals and you're a sociopathic, crazy person, that killing a child seems like a good idea for you when you're really angry.
No,
I
are
am-
you
I-
not
I
gonna
do
at
em-
least, are you not going to at least consider that that's a thought that would pass through your head if you're being mentally tormented by someone?
Absolutely.
Do you not consider killing your
course.
tormentor? Yes.
Wait, consider.
Yes.
I noticed we just took a little jump from a thought that would pass through your head to consider. I would never consider killing someone who is DDoSing me. No.
What do you mean? What was the jump? Like, where were you?
You said a
before?
thought that would pass through your head.
Yes, this is a thought. I'm going to kill this guy.
Okay, a
You're
thought.
pissed off.
A thought is different from a consideration. Do you agree with that? Like if I said,
I think you can consider.
if I
things
said,
in
if
your
I
thoughts.
said, if I said, when I'm really angry at Shaylin, sometimes I think about knocking our 65-inch TV over and jumping on it. That wouldn't be that weird to say. But if I say, sometimes I consider knocking our 65-inch TV over and jumping on it, that would be a step further, I
That'd
think.
be a little step further.
Okay. So instead of you swapping one out for the other and trying to take me down the slippery slope to fucking psycho land, let's be clear about what we're saying. Yes, I can empathize with crazy people. I can empathize with people doing things that I would never do, or planning to do things, or considering to do things that I would never consider doing. Empathy is when you are different from someone and you can understand their feelings. You are using empathy to mean that you're the same as the person and you're admitting that you're the same. I'm not like that. I would never plan to kill somebody. Least of all a fucking kid. So I'm different. And if
Wow.
I did, yes, but I can empathize with it. Yeah, I can understand. A lot of the way Destiny operates is like a cornered animal. He is constantly defending himself and constantly feeling extremely threatened. So it makes sense to me that he frequently goes into fight or flight and feels that he has to kill or destroy someone else, literally or figuratively, or their reputation, or smear them or attack them, or go guns blazing, go nuclear, whatever. In response to the smallest slights against him, because he doesn't feel like those are small slights. He feels like they're existential threats. I think he's just terrified all the time. Yeah, I do. I think about why he does what he does. What he does a lot.
Way about getting banned from the subreddit? Didn't you feel that was like an existential threat to your whole
No,
existence? No.
no. But that also is not relevant to what I'm saying. You're just saying sentences that are connected by common phrases, but aren't. It's not. I don't understand. What does it matter if? So what if I did?
It's to show hypocrisy, right? If people
No.
see you as a hypocrite, you're gonna lose credibility, right?
And you want me to lose credibility?
No, I don't want you to lose credibility.
How is it hypocritical? Okay, if I see getting banned from his subreddit as an existential threat, how is it hypocritical? How's what I just said hypocritical?
If you see it,
I said Destiny often feels like he's in a corner and he has to defend himself, and you're saying, well, I can think of a time you felt like you're in a corner. I never said I never feel like I'm in a corner.
because it's an attack on his character, right? You're just attacking his character. From a
You asked me to
certain angle.
empathize. I don't think I'm attacking his character. You asked me to. You said, can you empathize with him? I'm saying he seems like somebody to me who is constantly terrified. And constantly trying to project that he is not terrified, but also constantly trying to defend himself. I don't mean that as an attack on his character. I know it doesn't line up with what he says about himself, so it might be an attack in that sense. But I actually think that's why he does what he does. I also think it's a pretty empathetic way. It's a pretty empathetic way to frame somebody planning to kill a fucking kid. Like if you're planning to kill a high school kid.
No, but isn't your whole
for
thing,
me to say, oh,
don't you think it's important for people to not suppress these type of thoughts and for them to speak openly, right, about their mental state?
I don't think it's important.
So?
Do I think it's
so
important?
We're just gonna.
Do I think it's wait? Let me answer your unbelievably stupid question. Do I think it's important for us to express ourselves in the form of creators with large followings of parasocially entrenched cult members? Should they express themselves by doxing people they are mad at and then planning to kill them and talking about their plans to kill them? No, I don't think that people should do that. I think that's wrong. If he made a video that was like, also in his video where he's like, man, look, listen to how crazy I was. His explanation for why he didn't murder the kid is that he might have gotten caught. Notice that there is zero morality or empathy for value of.
Isn't that your moral compass, Max? Like self-interest? I thought that was how you come up with your whole moral system. Your own doing things out of your own self-interest, right?
I'm gonna give you to the count of 3. No, we have to end this. This is a fucking nightmare. You can say a final thing or ask a final question, and I will respond in the calmest, best faith manner that I possibly can. And then I have to move to the next caller, or I'm gonna die.
Okay. Yeah, man. What if you changed the title of your article? What if you rethought the whole thing, right?
What's the title of my article?
The title should be How an Obsession with a Subreddit Almost Ruined My Life and What I Learned.
Are you actually asking me to respond to that in good faith? That would be a chat. Okay.
I think you should do it, man. I think it's the move like that no one would expect, and it would actually be redeeming.
Okay. And the implication behind this title is that I am writing an article about Destiny because I'm mad that I got banned from a subreddit.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of the definition of good faith in my head, so I know that I don't agree with your view that I'm writing this article because I am mad that I was banned from a subreddit. In fact, in our conversations about why I was banned from the subreddit and my unhappiness about this fact, I remember Destiny offering to unban me multiple times. And I actually refused his offer. I said, I don't want special treatment. I want the system to change because I think you are abusive and you're running an abusive system that is designed to hurt people for money. And I want that to change, or I don't want to be part of it. It's not about me. I know I could just DM Steven at any time and say, hey dude, what the fuck, will you unban me? The guy's conflict avoidant enough that he probably would have unbanned me immediately if I had just done that. But I don't want that.
Okay.
I want, if I'm going to be especially if I'm going to be under somebody who has like this totalitarian control over this system of people and how they all operate, then I want it to be...
You really think he has that? Like, how could he maintain that level of control over so many people? Is he that manipulative and that much of a master brainwasher? Like,
yes.
How is that even possible? Yeah, he is. You really think
it's possible? People do it all the time.
You really think you think he's like that? Like he's brainwashing with what? Like his YouTube videos, or? Because I've never spoken to the guy. I don't know anything about.
Yeah. Do you want me to actually list some of the mechanisms by which he exerts control over the streamers and audience members under him? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
If you criticize him and the criticism is too piercing or cutting or embarrassing, he bans it and bans you. So diversity of thought and freedom of thought is not actually allowed, but the community is presented as though it is allowed. So that's one way. You get an impression that people are in more agreement than they actually are. Even if you make fun of him in a way he doesn't like, he'll temporarily ban you, encourage you to ask to be unbanned. If you give him money, if you're a tier 3 or tier 4 subscriber, you're much less likely. There's ban armor written into the terms of the tier. So if you pay him and you're more parasocially attached to him, you're less subject to this. But there's this culling effect of repeated bans and unbans where you kind of just have to be mushy brained in order to even stay in the community for any length of time. He goes through large stretches of making almost no content at all, but still streaming for large periods of time. People who are more independent minded and who want like an actually entertaining or engaging stream are likely to leave. Thus, again, culling the people who are not parasocially attached to him. He does things like he secretly records conversations and threatens to leak them. He lies about people, lies about what they've said, lies about what he's said. He threatens to attack people. He regularly takes his personal life and airs it out on stream and uses the full weight of his platform to humiliate and denigrate and hurt the reputation of people that go against his wishes, even in his personal life.
Okay, man. Yeah, if you actually believe in all of this, I'm
Yeah,
gonna read
I think
your
that's
article.
all. That's all really in plain sight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read your article and you know,
So the article,
I'm
yeah, that's
open
what
to
the
being
article is
convinced.
about. Why I hope you like it, but the article is about how he misuses the power of his platform to carry out his bidding and control and coerce others. And often that is also involved. There's often a sexual element to his relationships with the people that he's doing that with and to.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, man. Like, why are you cock blocking your buddy, man? Your creepy little buddy. He should never be getting this much action, man. But you're trying to kill his action.
Shaylin came up with a rule the other day.
Okay.
I was like, hypothetically, who is the smallest streamer that you think would be ethical for me to trade nudes with? And she thought about it for a while, and she said, I think if someone has half your audience or less, then it's wrong. It's too much of a power differential. And I was like, what if they're in a completely different quadrant of the internet? What if they're like a cooking streamer or whatever? And she was like, no, it still holds. And then she said, but as you get bigger, the half rule is not enough. So it's still wrong for Destiny to trade nudes with somebody, or actually fuck them, who is half his size, because he's still so big. It's still so much bigger. So the answer is why? Like, why? Because I think it's wrong. I think what he's doing is wrong.
Can you just also maybe like, you know, respect the guy for forging a path? Like wasn't he one of the first to do the whole Twitch thing and all this crazy open relationship shit? I don't know, man. Like, just he's a new world.
He's definitely one of the founders of modern streaming.
Yeah.
And as a founder with very few morals, who is mostly interested in personal gain at the expense of others, it's become an immoral profession in the way people.
But like, he's learning and growing too, right? Like he didn't know what the fuck DDoSing was when he got DDoSed. He didn't know
I don't know. I don't have
You
the
know, about all
same.
the sex that was coming his way.
If you think I'm writing an article to say like, look, I know this looks really bad, but it's okay because he's learning and growing. No, that's not what it's gonna say.
Okay.
All
Hey
right,
Max,
I got
after talking to Sam Vaknin, was it?
Vaknin. Yeah.
Vaknin. Did you consider it at all that you might be a narcissist? Like I personally have considered that I'm a narcissist. Like it's a possibility. Is it a possibility
Vac.
for you?
Um, I don't really believe in narcissists or non-narcissists. I
Ah,
don't. I don't think that way. It's too simplistic. But Vaknin said to me he was telling me that I'm not a narcissist.
well,
So
he didn't know what the fuck he was just appeasing you, wasn't he? He was just doing his narcissistic thing and just he didn't know what your story was like with Destiny, but he was willing to give you the benefit of the doubt with whatever you said.
thank you for calling Mr. Earl Hotline. We have to move to the next caller now.
Thank you.
Early on, I think the thing is there's like this interesting dynamic where um everything is just funny.
Yes.
If there's something bad going on, it's just funny that that's happening. And you just don't think about like you're looking out on the outside down, I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? That's just completely unhinged.
Okay.
But
Can
at
you
the
give an
time it's like,
Can
isn't
you?
that okay, so there's this actually revisiting this specific interaction after hearing what you had to say about Destiny in general is the thing that kind of convinced me that he is actually sadistic.
Okay.
Um,
Well, what?
there's this video from back in the day which I watched. I'm sure I was watching the stream at the time, and experienced it very differently when it happened. But do you know the Raj Royale podcast? Are you familiar with it? It's
Yeah.
an old podcast that used to exist.
Yeah.
This was back in the day when I think this was when Destiny and Hassan were still on like semi decent terms. Like I think they had some fights and stuff, but I don't think they were like on full no communication at this point. Um, and Hassan was on the Raj Royale that week, and Destiny wasn't. And they were talking about some politics thing, and the topic of systemic
And
racism came up. And
didn't he like jump in
yeah,
to
so
like dunk on him
Hassan
or
was
something?
was well, so Hassan was kind of bumbling his way through his the kind of concept of systemic versus like interpersonal racism, and it was not really working very well. Hassan's not that articulate, and he wasn't doing a very good job, and people were kind of questioning him. And Destiny joined the call because he has perms in the Discord, and like
Yeah.
bam 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 laid out a pretty concise definition. And then everybody in the call was going like, "Oh, thank God, Destiny's here, so we don't have to listen to Hassan," all this type of stuff. And then Destiny
Yeah.
left the call and he's watching the stream and he's just like Hassan is getting more and more humiliated and frustrated and people are and Destiny's just there like literally writhing in pleasure, cackling as Hassan gets more and more like humiliated by everybody on the show. And as he gets angrier, Destiny just gets more and more like joyful. And at the time, like my experience of that is like, oh, isn't that funny? Destiny is just like such a joyful guy. Like he's just having such a good time, like watching this. But then looking back on it now, I'm like, that's not fucking normal. Like, what is happening? So I don't know. So it's like funny when he's doing. It's hilarious that he's so like that he's enjoying that so much. And I'm sure I laughed along with him at the time because the whole situation was so like bizarre and um, I don't know I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for is, but um, there's a lot of times where it's like the fact that it's crazy that Destiny responds that way to a situation is like just becomes a joke that's funny instead of becoming something that you actually think about and um, have concern with. If that makes sense. Is that answering your question when you're talking about
Yeah.
resolving?
Yeah. You're saying that. Okay. So a lot of times when something is subversive or
Mm-hmm.
funny, um, it's funny because it's creating tension and cognitive dissonance. That is what makes something funny. And you're
Yeah, maybe.
saying that the cognitive dissonance of watching somebody hurt their friend and laugh, if okay, so like if you're watching like Jackass
Hmm.
and they do the thing where somebody goes up to get a coffee from like the the like craft services, and then a big like boxing glove comes out and punches them in the face.
Yeah.
In a normal situation, that's not funny, but in the context of it being Jackass, you're like, well, you signed up for this, so that it is just funny. It's not like horrible or anything. It's not assault. It's just funny.
Okay.
And so it sounds like when Destiny does something to hurt somebody and it does cause cognitive dissonance or he gets glee from it, there's a frame switch where the fact that he's sadistic is what's funny. It just gets absorbed into the idea that it's a joke.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
And then
But
the
yeah,
more
just
horrified other people get by it, then they become the butt of the joke.
yeah, I think that's a big part that you've identified there is um, everybody who's kind of in the clique knows that Destiny is like bizarre in these ways, and so the joke becomes other people not knowing that and how they react to it, and everybody's like, haha, we know he's insane, but
Yeah,
it's like not really acknowledged that he's insane actually, but there's kind of like this weird like subliminal understanding that he's insane, and then other people getting exposed to that is funny.
okay. So I don't know if you've watched any of my expert discussions lately.
Some of them.
A similar thing is happening where people are saying, I I'm just tuning in for the train wreck. So there's this delicious excitement that people feel when they think the person who is on gets on, you know, the show or podcast is like, they think they're talking to a normal person. And they can't wait for the moment when they realize that Mr. Girl is not a normal person and you're in a situation that you didn't really understand. Even if you've been told like, oh, it's controversial or here's his other work or whatever, they know like you can't really understand what it's like to talk to Max until you're actually in a conversation with him. And by then the camera's on and it's too late. And it's funny to watch people realize that.
Yeah.
So there's an
So, I don't know.
in-group, out-group thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been writing about this. I don't know how it fits into the article, but I've been writing about how Destiny isn't really funny on his own terms. A lot of his jokes are not funny in a self-contained way. They're funny in a meta sense where the butt of the joke is the outgroup who would expect him to behave appropriately and treat his friends well. And then the in-group is laughing at their reactions to him being horrible. And then even him writhing in ecstasy at Hassan's discomfort itself becomes a new meta joke because it's like, it's funny that he's like out of his mind. But he's like, if you're in his fan base, he's your psycho. Like, you know him.
Yeah. Well, also, I think it ties into, I think it's a fundamental part of the control mechanism as well, because the control mechanism becomes excused by the fact that it's funny. Like, it's funny that you can't talk about things that upset him. That gets turned into like a running joke where it's like, oh, you know, don't post during League or whatever. And then it extends to actual serious issues.
Yeah, like
Um,
memeing pretty close to the sun or the 07 salutes. Yeah. All that is another meta incorporate. Like he's banning people who disagree with him or provide pushback. That goes completely against everything Destiny says he's about. He constantly says explicitly, I welcome feedback, I welcome criticism, you're welcome to investigate me, talk to anybody, ask anybody anything about me, I'm an open book, my DMs are open, I have no secrets from anybody. But then he's actually viciously horrible to anybody who actually does any of those things or speaks out against him or what, like to the point where he's PMing you Game of Thrones spoilers if you criticize his relationship with Melina or whatever the fuck. Like he's actually fucking insane. But that it becomes that anything that is like reprehensible gets put in the it's funny category.
Yeah. And that actually, what you said a second ago, kind of brushes on another issue that I was maybe talking to you about because I remember when you were kind of having your discussions over the moderation with Destiny on his stream, um, you were kind of trying to express this idea of you say that criticism can be expressed, but that's not really true.
Yeah.
And you ended up saying something like, you can't ban all the criticism because otherwise your narrative would be transparently false. So
Right.
you ban as much as you can get away with it. And I don't think that's entirely true. I think that, and I think you ended up, a lot of people were, I guess, put off of your argument for that because I don't think it's quite a correct analysis. I think specifically what happens is he kind of has his finger on the pulse of all the different relevant conversations going on in his community at any given time.
Yeah.
And any of them that he are like some kind of potential threat to him, he has his eye on them, and he'll use moderation to exactly the extent that is necessary to ensure it always tips in his favor.
Okay,
He doesn't
so
ban
if
all
he,
criticism, and it's not that
yeah,
he's not
yeah.
banning everything because it would make it clear that his
He
whole
just does. He
thing
just
about
not as his goal is not to have no
unnecessary.
criticism. His goal is to
Just
maintain
have
control over the narrative.
right. Make sure that he's always slightly in, at least a little bit, like 51% in control. So he's happy to have a fair amount of criticism go against him, but he'll never allow something to actually overpower him, or because he'll use whatever means necessary, including moderation and other things, to make sure that he never actually loses an argument within his community, essentially.
Okay, I think I get what you're saying. I think he goes further than that. You ever check Revedit or Revedit?
Revedit? No, never heard of it.
You can see what posts are removed from his community by
Okay.
mods. You can filter. You can see in chronological order everything that is removed by mods.
Okay, let me just clarify. I'm not saying that he always keeps the balance at 51%. That was maybe a term I shouldn't have used.
I get what you're saying. You're saying that
what I'm saying is I think
the
primary
I know what you're
motivation-
I know
Sorry.
I know what you're saying.
Sorry.
Here's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
The primary motivation is control.
Yeah.
Putting fires out that could be an existential threat. What I'm saying is that Destiny's perception of what is an existential threat to his career is completely warped and insane. He's not good at determining when something is an existential threat, and he's also not good at determining when something isn't an existential threat. I don't think he knows what he's doing.
That may be true, but I'm less talking about existential threats, because I think he uses this tactic on lots of things that he knows aren't an existential threat. He just wants to never be perceived as wrong inside of his community, or virtually never. So I think he's used this balance of power technique to shut down things that he wouldn't consider an existential threat lots of times in the past.
I think that it comes from a place of emotion. I think when he feels scared or bad about something, when something makes him look bad, it makes him feel bad. And I really do think that he wants to delete every single negative post about him. I think he has to stop himself. I get what you're saying, and I get what you're saying from a strategic lens, but I don't think that's how he operates. I honestly think that if he could just put a filter on that just gets rid of all negative comments about him, and that wouldn't destroy his career, I think he would do it. I think he actually just can't stand it. So like this post from 4 days ago. Recently saw a post on our music theory talking about Destiny's music takes. Sorry if this is breaking any rules, just wanted to let streamer man know. It's a link to a post dissecting Destiny's awful music theory. and it was removed by mods. It has 35 upvotes.
Okay.
There's no reason to remove that other than
Yeah, I have no idea why that post was removed. I don't know what is it.
Destiny is an
no longer-
amateur, 96.9% perfect circle. That was removed 4 days ago. Also, irrelevant after 4 months of gym versus Destiny after almost 18 months of gym. So making fun of Destiny's fitness progress, 259 upvotes removed. That was also 4 days ago. That's not an existential threat. That's not even could possibly be a threat. Nobody cares about Destiny's fitness progress, fitness takes. He doesn't need to be an authority on fitness. He does not need narrative control over fitness. He's not even pretending that he's in better shape or more muscular than Irrelevant. There is no reason to remove that other than it just made him feel bad.
Yeah, I think that's probably true, and I definitely think there are instances where he does just get angry and remove things.
I think it's scared, but yeah.
Well, okay.
I think he's just removes things when he's scared.
I don't know, like I think both, personally, but certainly I think that he does it out of anger sometimes. But anyway, my point really isn't to disagree with.
Wait, I want to know about you. I'm asking about your cognitive dissonance. I want to know about your cognitive dissonance journey.
Well, so that's kind of, we talked about the early stage. Are there any further questions that you have about how you can kind of exist in that environment without questioning it too much, or does that kind of cover?
No, it just sounds like it's funny that it's awful.
An orbiter fuck up situation regarding Pixie. So you made some brief comments on it.
Yeah.
Have you spent much time looking into not only what happened to Pixie, but Destiny's response and the community's response?
No, but I talked to Pixie.
After this?
I was pissed. I talked to her after she made a post mocking me. I DM'd her and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm like, yeah. So for everybody who doesn't know, Pixie came on to talk to Destiny. Then somebody made a post about how conversations with her are worthless because she's stupid, basically. And then it got 150 upvotes. Then she made a tweet screenshotting it and was like, "What the fuck? This makes me want to take a break from the internet." Then I quote tweeted her and I was like, "They're going to ask you to come back and explain yourself and defend yourself, and you shouldn't. It's a trap." Then she made a post, I think it was after that, she made a post on Destiny's subreddit saying, "Oh, I'm declaring war on the subreddit," which is mocking my post where I said I'm declaring war on the subreddit when I was angry at them. And I was very annoyed that she was throwing me under the bus to show fealty to Destiny when her criticism of the community being vicious and toxic is the fucking same thing I was saying. And yet she wants to make it clear to them like, "Oh, I'm not really saying, I'm not Mr. Girl, I'm not bad." But then I also realized I did the exact same thing when I was criticizing the community. I was always sure to, I literally said, "I'm not Vosh or Hassan. I'm not bad. I'm just a little upset with some parts of a piece of a fraction of a sliver of what you were doing." But it has nothing to do with Steven himself. It's just the community. I'm just a little mad at the community. I did all the same shit. So I get why she's doing it. But I was still pissed. So I DM'd her basically and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then she was like, do you want to talk? So then we talked and she was like, "I don't agree with you. And I wasn't trying to be malicious or I wasn't trying to throw you under the bus, but I get why you're frustrated." And I was like, "And I get why you're defensive of Destiny and the community because I was there very recently. So I understand it, but like, yeah, it made me mad."
I think you should, I think if you have, as part of your investigation, I think you should watch this VOD of Destiny confronting the guy who actually made that post.
Yeah, so Destiny's solution...
hilarious.
Destiny's solution is to just shit on more people and have the community be toxic to a different person, and the new target is the person who made the post. And Pixie was like, "Well, it's just one person who made the post. And I was like, no, it's the whole community. It's Destiny. It doesn't matter who wrote it. The thing you're upset about is that it got a bunch of upvotes, not that somebody wrote it. Like, anybody can write a post calling you stupid. The problem is that, like, the community likes it and boosts posts calling you stupid. And then now the new thing is the person who wrote the post is stupid. And there's always somebody being thrown under the bus and stepped on and attacked and humiliated. And it's never Destiny himself. It's always somebody else's fault. So yeah, I saw somebody talking about how today on stream he was saying the community's toxic and that's the community's fault. And he's blaming the community and calling them toxic when, like, yeah, he said he hopes Vosh dies of his ear infection, or he wished he died of his ear infection like a month ago. He called Spicy White Claw a fucking idiot because he didn't like her rape allegation with like 2-3 weeks ago. He's just consistently vicious and sadistic. So the idea that his community, that this is, and I said this to Pixie on our call too. I was like, you see this as a slip up, as him not living his values when he is vicious towards somebody, or the community is vicious towards somebody. And I'm saying that's it. That is the core of the community, is viciousness. So, and it's the core of how Destiny interacts with people. So it doesn't make any fucking sense to be like, the community is toxicity. That's what it is. That's what it does. It hurts people for money.
And to further that, you know, you were saying earlier during this stream that it's funny how orbiters come in or viewers come in that speak like Destiny, like the same mannerisms, almost like an even similar tone of voice, the same kind of things that they say. So if people are literally speaking like this man, to act like they wouldn't be typing like him or picking up his general
of course
behaviors
they're just copying him.
It's like, that's the cognitive dissonance where everyone in that community knows that the cringe soy debate bros end up speaking like Destiny, but then these same Destiny fans can't see that it's also happening in their community. I just wanted to ask another question as well. How do you feel about Doobie? Because, and the reason I ask that is because this guy, and you know, this is why Destiny went nuclear and came out first with everything to try and pave up all the fucked up shit that he did. He and Lav in a way, but less so, Doobie lied to you. He straight up lied to you, and no one seems to be calling that out in that community. Like the multiple people that you spoke to about Destiny's behavior all agreed with you and concurred with what you were saying. And then you went to someone who should be unbiased in Doobie, and he didn't just say, I've heard of this, and like, he didn't just say, I'll think about it. He actively agreed with you and offered to help you out with this. But I see no one in Destiny's community actually criticizing him for that, for lying to you. You should hate Doobie. I hate Doobie.
It's very weird not knowing who is in the cult and who isn't. Because there's a lot of people that are in it that you wouldn't think would be in it. And so I assumed, like, Doobie and I have been pretty friendly. We've talked a bunch. We've DM'd a bunch. I thought we were friends. So when I DM'd him, I thought I was DMing my friend. But I was DMing one of Destiny's tentacles. I didn't know that. And I would have handled things pretty differently had I known that.
Well, it wasn't your fault. I think that's the most unfortunate thing out of this entire situation, is that you acted like a rational person would, and Destiny in this situation acted like a Machiavellian to come out and say, like, I'm going nuclear, when he did that first stream, and you revealed like that he was still sexting Anna, and then he had showed like Doobie's DMs on the screen and everything like that. That was the thing that really red pilled me from Destiny. It wasn't necessarily anything you said.
Nothing I said, is his reaction.
Yeah, it was like the situation that you created.
And the reaction reinforced me wanting to write the article, because I'm like, this is terrifying. Like, the idea that I'm like under attack and I'm like not safe, and he's trying to destroy my life. immediately. Because I DM'd somebody who I didn't even know they had any type of relationship. It's insane. And terrifying.
And standard. I mean, that's just kind of how he operates.
Yeah, now that I'm going through all the old stories, I see that it happens all the time. Yeah.
He's done a pretty good job of cultivating a cult, ironically.
Yeah. He has.
Alright, that's all I wanted to say.
All right. Well, thanks for calling.
Thank you.
We got to get you new friends, Mr. Girl. I have friends. You mean friends for you. You want to watch me be friends with people. Didn't you message like 20 people before the nuclear attack? I was like, okay, I know that some of you are going to, despite how horrible he's been to you. Also, some people, I'm like, I don't even know who the fuck you are. I'm not that well versed in, or I wasn't in Destiny's history. So people are like, you DM'd Hafu? Are you kidding me? You emailed Hafu? I'm like, I don't know who the fuck this is. Every person I talk to, I say, is there anybody else you think I should ask about this? They give me names. I email them. I message them. I don't know who the fuck they are. I'm just messaging random people saying like, hey, I'm coming forward about emotional abuse about Destiny. Is there anything you want to say about that? I think Destiny and DGG are abusive to people, especially women. Is there anything, do you have any comment or anything you want to share? Feedback? Do you have any questions? Any background you can give me? I don't give a fuck who I'm emailing. Like, I don't care. I'm emailing whoever is on the list. And then some people who I've heard nothing about publicly are like, yes, I do have something I would like to say about that, actually. Some people are like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to be involved in this. And then some people are like, go fuck yourself. And then some people are like, I'm screenshotting this and tweeting it out. I have no idea how they're going to react. But, yeah, DGGers frame it as haha so desperate if he's going to Hafu. Yeah, I'm not part of your cult, so I don't know who the fuck Hafu is. I know she's like really famous or something. I don't care. I don't watch streamers. The only streams I watch are when people are talking about me. That's the only streams I've ever watched in my entire life. Streaming sucks. Streamers suck. Okay? God. I don't know who any of these fucking people are, and I don't want to know who they are. And I'm only figuring out who they are so I can write this article and then never think or talk about any of these fucking assholes again. So I don't know who these people... I don't care. Until they tell me that they have something to tell me, then I care, because I'm like, if you've been treated badly, I care about who you are. But if you're like an old colleague of Steven and you don't know about the article, and you're like, okay, but then Hafu's like emailing Steven, she's like, I don't know, why would this person email me? Like, fuck you. You know why I fucking emailed you. Don't play stupid. That's the other part about it. Everybody, his reputation is so well known as an abusive sociopath that the idea that you're playing dumb, being like, oh my god, Mr. Girl subscribed to my OnlyFans to message me. Fuck you. Don't fuck. Like, if you don't want to be involved, don't be involved. That's fine. If you don't want me to write about you, tell me, and I won't write about you. That's fine too. But let's not all pretend that we don't know why I'm writing the article. Anybody who has spent any length of time around this guy knows why I'm writing the article. It's very frustrating, this narrative that I'm this like creepy weirdo hunting all these people down, desperately trying to find dirt. Like, the dirt is there. I'm just looking for people to tell me how these public events affected them personally, if they have anything else they want to add, if there's anything I don't know. That's all. The OnlyFans thing was kind of extreme, don't you think? No. She has no other contact information. There's no other way. That's by design. She doesn't want people to be able to DM her. You have to pay her if you want to DM her. And it's the only way to contact her. So fucking fine. I'll pay $5 to DM you. I don't give a shit. That's fine. I think it was on sale. Write the fucking article. I am writing it. I'm cruising through it, baby. It's going really well. Then don't reach out to her? No. What? Do you know how fucking stupid I'm going to look if I don't reach out to her? And then it turns out later that she wanted to talk about it and had some like awful story about him to tell and wanted the backing of the article and all the other people coming forward at once. That doesn't make any sense. I have an obligation to reach out to every person who I think might be a source for the article. Did I look at her OnlyFans pics? She after Destiny posted my DM, or the fact that I DM'd her, she wrote me back. And I was like, oh, maybe she's responding. I checked the message and it was like, want to see my tits? And it was like one of those mass messages. So that was depressing. It's a little extreme to register for a website. Isn't it a little extreme? Wait, is it what? No, it's not extreme. What are you talking about? I'm writing this entire article without leaving my house. Dylan Burns goes to the fucking Ukraine, to a war zone, to interview people while buildings are blowing up all around him. That's extreme. Signing up for OnlyFans. For her I already have an OnlyFans account. Just signing it. What's one more? No. $5. He's being sarcastic. Oh, I'm very defensive. I get it now. Good sarcasm. I'm broken. I'm a broken man. Was there a joke about Hafu being a Trump supporter too? That was the same joke with Lily Pichu. Yeah, I thought that was Lily Pichu. I don't know. When the Andrew Guys thing came out, Destiny made sure to discredit victims who come out in groups. Right, yeah. I've heard him talk about that. All right.